What's up, Warlord Squad? My name is Anime Warlord and welcome back to the channel. Today is a really big day for Godzilla fans because today is November the 3rd, 2024, and this is known as Godzilla Day. And what makes this day so big? It's because the Big G is officially 70 years old. Happy birthday, Godzilla! So for today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys the Godzilla stuff that I have so far. Without any further ado, let's get on with it. Roll that intro. So before I showcase all of my Godzilla stuff that I have so far, let's talk a little bit about my past and my background. When I was about 9 years old, my father introduced me to Godzilla for the very first time. And the first movie I ever watched was Godzilla King of the Monsters. You know, the 1956 version with Raymond Burr. That was just basically very heavily edited and censored and whatnot. And for the longest time, I honestly thought that was the actual name of the title of the very first Godzilla film, Godzilla King of the Monsters. But no, the first Godzilla film that came out 70 years later as of today was just basically the title of the creature itself, Godzilla. And then 3 years later, when I was 12, entering my teens, I watched the original Japanese masterpiece that had no Raymond Burr, no edits, no censors. It was just basically full on dark and depressing. And my dad could tell that I was instantly hooked. Now, at first, I would only watch Godzilla movies just for the sake of the destruction sequences and the monster carnage. But my dad said to me, you know, Alex, there's a whole lot more to Godzilla films than just basically the destruction sequences and the monster carnage. I'm like, what do you mean? So I rewatched the original 1954 film with my eyes a little bit more peeled, and that's when I learned that the first Godzilla movie takes place nearly a decade after the Second World War. And I remember saying to myself, holy shit, there's a whole lot more to Godzilla than meets the eye, and there's a whole lot more under the surface rather than just basically monster carnage and destruction of multiple different cities that Godzilla may be in and other monsters may be in throughout Japan. Now, there's a whole lot more to my story in regards to Godzilla, but I don't want to take up too much of your time. Like I said before in the beginning of the video, I'm going to be showcasing you guys all of my Godzilla stuff so far. Without any further ado, let's do this. Okay, let's start off with the obvious thing first, the shirt that I'm wearing. This is made to represent the original 1954 Godzilla, the one that started it all back in 1954. And my lovely girlfriend actually got this for me for my 27th birthday this year, which I really appreciate. And after I opened up the gift, I just basically gave her what I like to call a Godzilla-sized hug. And she just basically gave me a Godzilla-sized hug in return. And I just basically just thanked her multiple times. I thanked her more times than I can count because she already knows how big of a Godzilla fan that I am. So thank you so much, babe. Once again, you're fucking awesome. Up is my Godzilla fleece blanket. I got that from a Godzilla mystery box that I got at Fan Expo Chicago last year. If you guys haven't seen the unboxing video yet of that, I will put a link to it down in the description box below. I had myself a really awesome time opening the box, and I was geeking out the whole entire time because there were so many cool Godzilla items that I managed to pull from that box. Next up here is a really dope Godzilla portrait of Heisei Godzilla that I got from Geek Street in Kokomo, Indiana. I got this at Kokomo Toys and Collectibles. I just basically saw that this was their only one, and I knew instantly that I had to buy this. I sadly didn't make it out to Kokomo Toys and Collectibles this year, but next year I definitely want to go back out there again and maybe even do an otaku vlog because I've been wanting to do an otaku vlog of Kokomo Toys and Collectibles and Geek Street as a whole ever since I took my good friend the Metal Maniac down there, and it's just basically a fantastic place. Next up are my Godzilla movie tickets. I have one Monsterverse ticket in here, and that was for Godzilla X Kong that recently came out, and I absolutely loved it. And 5 are for Godzilla -1. You think I'm obsessed with -1? Well, I have the movie tickets to prove that. And I plan on to see Godzilla -1 for another time sometime in the near future. I don't know when, but it all basically depends on like the time and day. And seeing the re-release of Godzilla -1 was absolutely fantastic because that's where this ticket comes into play. I really enjoyed seeing it again on the big screen, and I really enjoyed the 13 minutes of bonus content, like the Q&A session with Takashi Yamazaki, the director of the film. And before the movie began, we saw how the visual effects played out, and just basically the many different shots that he used, the different props, and it was just chef's kiss beautiful. Alright guys, next up is the only Godzilla game that I have so far. This is Godzilla Kaiji D, or Godzilla Monster War, or the Great Beast Monster War. It translates into a lot of names, to be honest. And this game was released for the Super Famicom system back in December of '94. And we were going to get this game overseas. It was going to be called Godzilla Destroy All Monsters. But for unknown reasons, they never released the game. They teased it in Nintendo Power May 1995. But once again, for unknown reasons, they never released the game. And this game is actually a spiritual sequel to another game developed by the same company, Alpha System, called Godzilla Battle Legends. And the two games may be developed by the same company, but the two games couldn't be any more different. And I really love how the fact you can select any monster, really, in the roster, because in normal campaign mode, you can campaign as Godzilla and nobody else when it comes to Godzilla Battle Legends. In Monster War, you can select from the king of the monsters himself, Godzilla. You have Anguirus, you have King Ghidorah, you have Gigan, you have Mothra, Biollante, Mechagodzilla, and of course, Megalon. I'm not too sure if you could tell, but the game sort of plays a little similar to Street Fighter, because each kaiju has different Street Fighter-ish types of moves, and it requires, in my opinion, more skill to initiate your attacks before your opponent does. The top bar is your health, and the one below your health is a stun meter. And the one on my side of the screen and my opponent's side of the screen is called a Wrath meter. That means you could do a Wrath attack or a super move. Wrath reduces recovery time on the stun meter, and it greatly increases damage. This is one of the more fun fighting games to come out for the Super Fam, and I'm super glad that I own this. Alright guys, next up is a little mini Godzilla finger puppet. I absolutely love this one. This was made to resemble the original 1954 Godzilla, and there were, I forgot how many you can collect, but I know that I got this in that Godzilla blind mystery bag, and he is super cute, and this is one of the most iconic pictures when it comes to Godzilla, where Godzilla destroys the train. And since we're on the subject of tiny stuff, this is a Godzilla air freshener for your car. And I think this one is, yeah, I'm right. It's a vanilla scent. How about that? And finally, for the small stuff, I have a pin of Heisei Godzilla and Heisei Mothra. This is a pin of Godzilla versus Mothra, and there's a scene from the movie on the back. I can't wait to put these pins on a corkboard someday. Next up, I have a glow-in-the-dark Mecha Godzilla figure here, and you can collect these other figures from the glow-in-the-dark series. You can get the original 1954 Godzilla, Jet Jaguar, and of course, Mecha Godzilla, which I have right here. And I wonder if it's still as bright as it was when I first got it when I went to Kokomo Toys and Collectibles. Yeah, that's still pretty fucking bright. Wow. Can't wait to collect the rest of the Glow in the Dark series. Man, that is just too cool. Next up, I have my Bandai figure of Heisei Godzilla here, and I think this is from Godzilla vs. Biollante, if I'm not mistaken. And on the subject of figures, I have my very first SH Monster Art Godzilla figure here. I got this for Christmas last year from a really good friend of mine, and this is from Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah. And he is absolutely amazing. I took this guy with me when I went to go see Godzilla -1 - Color for the very first time back in January of this year. And I took him once again to the rescreening of Godzilla -1. And I take Godzilla with me everywhere. Call me Takashi Yamazaki all you want. Next up, here is the empty blind mystery box that I got from Fan Expo Chicago. And I still don't know what I'm going to put in here. I'm probably going to put my Godzilla Nerdaments in here, which I will showcase in a little bit. But I just want you to see the beauty of this amazing mystery box. It's absolutely incredible. I love how there's King Ghidorah on one side, there's Godzilla on another, and there's Mothra on another, and of course, there's Mechagodzilla on another. Next up is my Monsterverse mug. This is from the 2019 film Godzilla King of the Monsters, and this is a heat-changing mug. So when you have really hot liquids in here, like let's say, hot coffee, tea, you name it, and this will showcase Godzilla doing his iconic atomic breath. And the whole entire background is blue. So let me pour something in here, or maybe just basically just heat up the cup itself. You can't use it in the microwave because it says do not microwave, but I will be right back. There it is, you guys. That's the Godzilla King of the Monsters heat-changing mug, and I hope they make more of these Godzilla, not just basically Monsterverse heat-changing mugs in the near future, but Toho Godzilla mugs in the near future. That would be super cool. It'll be really cool if we actually get a heat-changing mug from Godzilla -1. Next up, I have a Godzilla ramen bowl, and from what I heard that there's other Godzilla ramen bowls out there, and I honestly want to get more of these because honestly, that's just the collector in me. And I really love how that there's a Heisei Godzilla on there, just basically doing his iconic atomic breath. There's Godzilla in Japanese right there. And if I'm not mistaken, I think this Heisei Godzilla was from Godzilla vs. Mothra. All right, guys, we are almost done. I am showcasing the Godzilla Nerdiments next, and I'm going to be showcasing them in the year that they were released. So the first Godzilla Nerdiment is the one from 2005, and this was made to resemble the original 1954 Godzilla, and I will just quickly take it out of its box. It felt really good to finally have these on my tree the previous year, and I cannot wait to put them up again. Yep, there it is right here. As you can see, it says Godzilla on one side, and on the other side it says King of the Monsters. It's just basically a really big scene of destruction, and this is definitely a must-have for any Godzilla fan all over the world. This has lights and sounds, and here we go. Still works very well, too. Very awesome. Next up is the Heisei Godzilla Nerdiment. This one was released all the way back in 2006. This one does have sounds, but it doesn't have lights. Yep, there is the Heisei Godzilla right there, and as you can see, Godzilla's name is in the front of it. And all over this ornament, there are the Heisei monsters, friend or foe, and how you activate the sounds is you press on this little building right here. Pretty cool, right? And now we have this Godzilla Nerdiment. This one was released in 2007, if I'm not mistaken. And this one is a Showa Nerdiment. And this is like a theater marquee, and right here it says Godzilla Versus, and there's various different kaijus. There's Hedorah, there's Gigan and Megalon, there's Mechagodzilla and Titanosaurus, and there is Mothra and King Ghidorah. And how you activate the lights and sounds is you press on this little button right here, and it will play different roars from each kaiju. All right. Does it need batteries? Oh, no, we're good. And this was kind of a bitch to find, to be honest. Beautiful. And finally, the last Godzilla Nerdiment is this. This is the 60th anniversary Godzilla Nerdiment that came out in 2014 to celebrate 60 years of Godzilla. And as you can see, this kind of looks like the 2005 Godzilla Nerdiment that I showcased earlier. And this one is entirely in black and white, but it's still beautiful nonetheless. Hopefully this works still, because honestly, the batteries are starting to run low. Oh, yep, nope, it doesn't really work properly, so I'm gonna have to replace the batteries. But when it works, this lights up. As you can see down there, it says 60 years. On top it says Godzilla in Japanese, And on the other side, it says Godzilla King of the Monsters, and then he'll blow his iconic nuclear breath, and then that crater will light up, and it's just absolutely beautiful when it works. So I'm going to have to replace the batteries to make this thing work again, because you could just basically hear like a slight sound that this nerd emit. All right, guys, I saved the best item for last. This is my very first Godzilla statue. And as you can see, this is a Heisei Godzilla. And this was made to resemble a scene from Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2, one of my favorite movies in the Heisei era. I absolutely love the design, and I cannot wait to collect more of these Godzilla statues in the near future because they're just so incredibly detailed and just fantastic to have in your collection if you're a Godzilla fan. Well, there you have it, you guys. That was my Godzilla collection so far, and this will continue to get bigger and bigger as time goes on. So, this just about wraps things up for today's video, you guys. If you guys like today's video, give it a like. If you guys have anything to say about today's video, give it a comment. Don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell for future nerdy videos when they come out. You guys already know who I am. I'm Anime Warlord. Stay nerdy, stay safe out there. Have a great day, have a great evening, whatever your time zone may be. And always remember to take care of yourselves, and I'll see you guys again in the very next video. Once again, happy 70th birthday, Big fucking G.